Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful day today. So, I thought that I would talk about this Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury situation. Apparently, they're going to have a trilogy this year. Deontay Wilder recently won his arbitration case over Tyson Fury, and apparently, Tyson Fury now owes Deontay Wilder a third fight, unless Deontay Wilder is going to take some step aside money. But we'll see what happens. Do I believe he's going to take some step aside money? I don't know. We'll have to see. If I had to bet on it, probably not, but we'll see what happens. Now, do I think overall that it is a good idea for Deontay Wilder to step in with Tyson Fury for a third time with no tune-up fights, with no practice against other fighters, while trying to implement new skills? Do I think that that's a very good idea? Probably not, but it is what it is. Now, Tyson Fury did something similar where overall he got a new coach, he got a new corner, and he kind of changed game plans against Deontay Wilder. So some people overall, they might say, well, why is that a different situation? Well, Tyson Fury, he's always had an A-grade skill set, or he's always had a decent skill set for the heavyweight division. The problem is with Deontay Wilder is that Deontay Wilder is not just some fighter that is going to have to work on some things, and overall, he'll be the cream of the crop. Deontay Wilder has a lot to work on. Like, Deontay Wilder is a fighter that has had a C class skill set. That's the problem with Deontay Wilder. And his fanboys may not like that. I really don't give a shit when it comes down to the overall. Deontay Wilder has a lot to work on. Now, some people have the mindset overall to where, well, he just needs to implement a few skills and overall, he'll be ready. He just needs a B-class skill set, to beat Tyson Fury, because he has that tremendous power and that tremendous athleticism. Well, that's great, but how much do we really know that Deontay Wilder is going to pick up on? I mean, once again, he's going in there straight away with the Tyson Fury, who's always had an A-grade skill set, who's an even better fighter now that he's with the Kronk Gym when it comes down to it. And on top of that, Deontay Wilder, I mean, this is really going to be the first time in his career that he's worked on some different things, that he's really tried to improve. How much better do we really know that Deontay Wilder is going to get in this third fight? So once again, I don't think that it's the best idea to work on or to get Tyson Fury straight away in the ring for Deontay Wilder. But he has the right to, exercise or exhaust his rematch clause. I wish the best for the man. Do I think that he's going to beat Tyson Fury in the third fight? No. But it is what it is. Anyways, I wanted to hear what Dante's Boxing Nation had to say. If you know anything about Dante's Boxing Nation, especially if you've watched him for the past year and a half, you know that he's a very big Deontay Wilder fan, just like all the LDBC and new media, which really stands for pro-black, pro-racially biased media. But it is what it is. And a lot of people ain't going to like me saying that. That's okay. It is what it is. Anyways, when it comes down to it, let's hear what Dante's Boxing Nation has to say.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So finally, the biggest news of the year, Deontay Wilder officially wins the arbitration. It is now confirmed that Tyson Fury, he will be forced. He's ordered to fight Deontay Wilder in the trilogy fight no later than September. This is huge, guys. This is huge. I just woke up to this news. It's around 9 o'clock in the morning out here in Thailand. And this is a game changer, man. This is a game changer right here for sure. It's crazy how the whole year, ever since the second fight with Wilder and Fury, old media has been trying to bury this case. They kept trying to promote the AJ Tyson Fury fight as if the arbitration would never even interfere with it. Even at the beginning, you had Bob Arum, who's a lawyer, and he was telling people, there's no way they're going to be able to stop this fight. There may be fines and stuff like that, but there's no way they can stop the fight. Eddie Hearn just said the same thing. Eddie said there's no injunction that can stop Anthony Joshua from fighting Tyson Fury or Tyson from fighting Anthony Joshua. Now the truth has come out. I kept telling you guys, or new media,
You're already doing it. Managing tasks, problem solving, organizing data.
Kept telling you guys that this case is serious. And there's a very, very good chance that Tyson Fury, he's going to be forced to fight Deontay Wilder, or he's going to have to pay a hefty fine.
And I give you credit for that. I give credit overall to a certain amount of people that said that the arbitration case was going on. But do I believe that they 100% knew what was going on? No. I think overall that they were hoping and praying that Deontay Wilder was going to win the arbitration case. I don't think they really had any idea what the hell was going on. I didn't really know what the hell was going on. And that's why overall I really did not comment on it that much. I said a while ago that maybe I thought the contract had expired. But then after a little bit of while, I thought maybe that the contract still was on, or that the arbitration case was still gone. So I really did not know what was going on exactly, so I did not comment on it when it comes down to it. I give Deontay and a certain amount of these other channels credit for talking about the arbitration case overall and, being correct on it. But I'm not necessarily sure if it's because exactly they knew 100% what was going on. I think it was just kind of wishful thinking. But it is what it is. Credit is, deserved where you are correct.
One that will make him say, you know what, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth me not honoring this rematch clause if I'm going to have to pay this amount of money to Deontay Wilder. This is the greatest news ever for Deontay Wilder.
And the greatest news ever for you. And all the other emotional, in their feelings about this fight, Deontay Wilder fanboys. It is what it is. And pro-racially motivated people, all right, for Deontay Wilder. Let's just be real. And a certain amount of people, they get mad at me when I say that. I get certain people on my channel here and there that say, well, you just sound mad because, certain black men are supporting Deontay Wilder, supporting their own skin color. Like, well, if you watch my videos, you understand that that's not the point at all. Listen, I understand that it's great to support your own demographic. And this is why a certain amount of people get confused. When I say pro-racial, I'm talking about pro-racially biased people. Like Dante's Boxing Nation, like these LDBC and new media channels. That's the problem. Because these guys, they don't just support black fighters. That's not really all their job entails. They support black fighters by any means necessary. Even if that means spreading propaganda and supporting bullshit narratives. We know that they love to try and tear down Canelo Alvarez and Vasyl Lomachenko when he was at the #1 pound-for-pound spot, and they love to tear down Tyson Fury. Why is that? Why do they love to tear down those fighters so much? Especially Canelo and Vasyl Lomachenko when they're ranked at the #1 pound-for-pound spot. One's got to wonder, why would they attack, Vasyl Lomachenko when he's ranked at the #1 pound-for-pound spot so much, and they attack Canelo Alvarez at the #1 pound-for-pound spot? But when people say that Terrence Crawford or Andre Ward or Errol Spence Jr., when they're at the #1 pound-for-pound spot, all of a sudden these same guys, they don't attack them anymore. I wonder what their motivations are.
Because I kept telling you guys, if Wilder didn't get this fight before the AJ fight, he would have never gotten his revenge or a shot at his revenge. And now he's getting it. Man, this fight right here is for all the marbles. This
is for all the emotional, pro-racial Deontay Wilder fans. It means a lot to them. They're really the only ones that wanted to see this fight. Do I mind the fight happening? I don't mind the fight happening because, once again, Deontay Wilder, he has a right to his rematch clause when it comes down to it. Just like any other fighter who's ever had a rematch clause. Once again, I don't think it's the best idea to step in there with Tyson Fury immediately, but it is what it is. That's his that's his business. But Deontay Wilder needs to be very careful. He has to really win this fight, because if Deontay Wilder, man, if he does not win this fight, his career is over. His career is over. He's kind of on the same line as what Anthony Joshua was when he had that rematch against Andrew Ruiz. Now, of course, obviously losing to Andrew Ruiz is much different than losing to a Tyson Fury. Well, you know what? I guess, actually it shouldn't be. Because according to the LDBC and new media, Tyson Fury is this grand cheater. So, if Deontay Wilder loses to Tyson Fury in a third fight, without his cheating tactics, because apparently Tyson Fury, for some reason, even though he's been allowed to cheat for his whole entire career, apparently now he's not going to be allowed to cheat in this third fight, according to them. So, actually, no, maybe it's not much different when it comes down to it. Because Tyson Fury, we all know, not a great fighter, just a great cheater, according overall to the LDBC new media channel. So, as we know, the third fight should look a lot different. And Deontay Wilder, he should pull this one off. He should pull this one off. It should look a lot like the first fight, and according to Dante and all the other idiot Deontay Wilder fans, when it comes down to it, we all know that Deontay Wilder apparently, knocked out Tyson Fury in that first fight, as they love to say, because they're Deontay Wilder fanboys and they're in their emotions. But when it comes down to the overall, in the third fight, Deontay Wilder should be getting the knockout. But we'll see what happens.
Winner takes all. It's a very, very dangerous situation that both fighters are in. I've been telling you guys ever since the arbitration started, ever since talks of a trilogy started. Because of the fact that Tyson Fury cheated in the second fight. That's the reason why.
Both fights, right, Dante? Because that's what you've been alleging. You alleged for both fights, right? Anyway.
Why the third fight was so necessary. Because now
The third fight is necessary because Deontay Wilder has a rematch clause. That's why the third fight is necessary. If there was no rematch clause, this fight would not be necessary at all because, as far as I'm concerned, this is finished business. But it is what it is. But we'll see what happens in the trilogy.
Get to find out, can Tyson Fury beat Wilder without cheating?
He already has, Dante, and I know overall that, you're not going to say that when it comes down to it. Tyson Fury never cheated against Deontay Wilder. At least, I don't know if he ever took any steroids or anything like that. I'm not sure. You never know with these athletes about that. But when it comes down to it, I never seen any actual empirical data or any evidence that ever convinced me that Tyson Fury cheated against Deontay Wilder. All right. A lot of people are not going to like that. I really don't give a damn. It is what it is.
We know cheating in the third.
And I'm going to get some of these idiots in the comments when it comes down to it. Deontay Wilder, he had a dent in his head. When it comes down to Deontay Wilder, just take a look at the gloves and all that shit. Yes, that's right. The gloves overall where apparently the knuckles, you can see the knuckles, but you go ahead, watch the fight for yourself. You never see his hand look anything like that when it comes down to it. I did a video on that. Apparently Deontay Wilder had this dent in his head when it comes down to it. But isn't it weird? No actual x-rays, when it comes down to it. No doctors telling us online, no Instagram videos. The only, evidence that Deontay Wilder has a dent in his head is the word of his brother, Marcellus Wilder. That's what they use for evidence. Like, come on, man.
Fight. Whoever loses this fight, their career will damn near be over.
If Deontay loses this fight, his career will be over. Which I'm guessing he will, because I don't think that he can beat Tyson Fury unless he lands a correct right hand. But Tyson Fury, when it comes down to it, he has enough power to keep Deontay Wilder back. It is what it is. And if Tyson Fury puts him on the hot seat, if he ends up, backing him up, if he ends up hurting Deontay Wilder, which is very possible at any possible time, because Tyson Fury, he don't have A-grade power, but he's about, he can be 260, 270 pounds. And on top of that, he's always had about B-grade power. I mean, that is going to hurt you. And it's not impossible to hurt Deontay Wilder. I don't know where these Deontay Wilder fans think Deontay Wilder has this granite chin for. He got hurt against Eric Molina. He got hurt against Luis Ortiz. He also got hurt against Dominic Breazeale. He got hurt against all these fighters. But it is what it is.
If Tyson Fury loses this fight, he looks like the heavyweight version of Antonio Margarito. And I know some of you guys are going to say, well, Dante, Tyson Fury is already looking like Antonio Margarito with how he cheated in that second fight.
According to you, Dante, both fights. Did he just cheat in the second fight, or was it both fights, Dante? Which is it? Because you change your stories on a daily basis. Which, once again, leads me to believe, I'm not really sure how much Dante truly believes this either. But anyway.
But I guess what I'm talking about is how Margarito's career ended, where he gets no credit.
And let me tell you this, for the people listening, if Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder, even if he whoops his ass the same way that he did in the second fight, which I could see happening, I could also see Tyson Fury possibly winning by decision. I wouldn't be surprised, because sometimes in trilogies, certain fighters, they might be more cautious, when it comes down to it, because you never know what your opponent is going to come out with. And Deontay Wilder is a very big threat at all times because he's a tremendous athlete. So even in a trilogy, I give Deontay Wilder a good 30% chance because he's a tremendous athlete. but I wouldn't give him any more than that. We'll see what happens. Anyway, but like I was saying, they're never going to give Tyson Fury any credit because if Tyson Fury wins in the third match, all they're going to do, because they've already hinted at this, all they're going to say is that, well, Tyson Fury, he still cheated in the first 2 fights, and Deontay Wilder, he was never the same after that second fight, mentally or physically. That's all they're going to say. So, it really don't matter what happens in that third fight. If Tyson Fury wins, they're not going to give him credit anyway. So, for the certain people over asking the question, do you think they're going to give him credit if he wins the same way? No. They're not going to give credit to Tyson Fury if he knocks out Deontay Wilder within the first 30 seconds. They're not going to give him any credit. So, you can just forget about that.
Where his name, it just sits amongst all of the cheaters, right, in the sport of boxing.
Bringing new flavors to the table.
There's no one ever going to be talking about how great of a fighter Margarito was because his name is now synonymous with how he cheated. Now, if Deontay Wilder loses, his career may practically be over as well.
His career will be over. And if Deontay Wilder loses a third, let's be real, a third time to Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury won both fights against Deontay Wilder, and a lot of people are not going to like that. I've never seen a worse decision live, personally, when it came to the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder first fight. And there's a certain amount of people, they love to say that there's been certain other robberies. I've heard a certain amount of people say the Canelo Triple G rematch was a robbery. No, that was not a robbery. I thought Canelo just won it. There was a lot of people that thought that the Sergey Kovalev-Andre Ward fight was a robbery. I would have personally gave it to Sergey Kovalev, but I can't call that a robbery because I thought the fight was very close, so I don't have a problem with Andre Ward getting it. And there's a couple of other fights, even Jeff Horn versus Manny Pacquiao, and a lot of people would disagree with me on this. A lot of people thought that fight was a robbery. To me, that fight, every time I've watched that fight, I scored that fight a draw. Now, I thought the scorecards were a bit wide, but, many people, they love to jump on the bandwagon that Jeff Horn got a super bad decision. No, that was a competitive fight. Manny Pacquiao made that fight way too competitive, so it is what it is. Anyway.
Because he couldn't beat Tyson Fury when he was cheating, and he couldn't beat Tyson Fury when he wasn't cheating.
But the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight, that was the first fight. That was the worst decision I've seen live. I don't know how you score that fight for Deontay Wilder personally. Every time I've watched that fight, I score that fight about 9 rounds to 3.
There is a lot on the line, guys. A lot on the line. It's funny because about a couple days ago, I reported that Deontay Wilder's wife, she had posted that Tyson Fury can't fight anyone else but Deontay Wilder next, right? And you had some Tyson Fury fans that were like, oh my God, Deontay Wilder's wife, what does she know? She doesn't know anything. Man, it turned out she knew more than everybody else that was on the other side representing Tyson Fury. She had it right.
And a lot of people might think that I represent Tyson Fury, that I'm a Tyson Fury fan. I'm not a fan of any of these fighters. That's just the Deontay Wilder fanboys in their feelings. It's okay. They act like a bunch of women. So it is what it is. Anyway.
All along. And that's the reason why I reported that, because I knew someone who never speaks on stuff like this, if she's just going to come out that confidently and say this on public record, then she knows something. She's the champ's wife. She knows something.
Quote unquote champ. It's so pathetic how they still call Deontay Wilder champ after that ass whooping last year. But once again, they have to keep up this charade of Deontay Wilder getting cheated. Anyway.
Right? So, there it is, man. The fight should happen sometime before September or in September. But it's going down, y'all. It is going down. I truly believe going into this fight, Deontay Wilder is going to be far more confident than Tyson Fury. Because once again, you have to realize the
We'll see when it comes down to it. Deontay Wilder apparently is going to be overly confident. I don't think so. Because I think Deontay Wilder, he can put up this bullshit all he wants to, that he got cheated and all sorts of stupid bullshit. I'm not really sure Deontay Wilder believes that himself when it comes down to it. So Deontay Wilder, he can spread all this bullshit that he's coming in there confident that he's changing all this shit. And once again, I wish the best for him. I don't wish bad luck for anybody. I hope Deontay Wilder does improve, and for his sake, it would be great for him, obviously, if he pulled off the upset. But do I see that realistically happening? Probably not, but we'll see what happens.
Sure. That is on a man that cheated. And now he's forced to take a fight.
And I'm not really sure where Deontay Wilder is going to be mentally in this fight. I mean, if Tyson Fury puts him on the back foot, and if he hits him early, if he's able to hurt him early, kind of like he was in their last fight, Deontay Wilder, he may have some flashbacks of that fight in the rematch. So, we'll see.
Against that same guy, and he can't cheat. That is a...
I'm also very curious how Tyson Fury is apparently not going to be able to cheat in the third fight, because apparently everyone was in on it. This is what they allege. The WBC, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, when it comes down to it. I'm wondering, Tyson Fury, how is he not going to be able to cheat? Oh, let's not forget about it. The referee, the referee was in on it, when it comes down to it. So, this is what Deontay said, not me. This is what Deontay and the LDBC and new media channels have said. Everyone was in on Tyson Fury cheating because they wanted a Caucasian fighter to be the heavyweight champion of the world. That's what they said. All right, not me. Those are their words. Go ahead and check out some of their older videos if you don't believe me. That's what they said. So I'm wondering, if Tyson Fury got away with cheating for basically his whole entire career, why would he not get away with cheating in this third fight? Just because Deontay Wilder's corner would say something about it. Because remember, the referee was in on it. The WBC was in on it. Nevada State Athletic Commission was in on it. Deontay Wilder's corner was in on it. Now, apparently Deontay Wilder, he's going to have a new corner, so we'll see what happens. But it'll be interesting.
A lot of pressure on Tyson Fury to perform. There ain't going to be no slick stuff done with the gloves. There ain't going to be no PEDs. There ain't going to be nothing.
You're alleging that Tyson Fury was on PEDs for the Deontay Wilder fights, and who the hell knows? Personally, I'm a believer that most of these athletes are on PEDs anyway, but it is what it is. Do I believe that Tyson Fury at one point in time was on PEDs? Yes, I do. But he was never caught for that in the Deontay Wilder fights, so I can't allege that for the Deontay Wilder fights.
He's going to be able to do, but use his God-given gift. And we're going to find out if that's enough. Now, once again, this is still going to be a tough fight for both fighters, right? And at the end of the day, even though I'm going to root for my country and I'm going to root for Deontay Wilder, even if it...
Oh, you're going to root for your country. Dante, once again, Dante tries to spew this bullshit that he roots for his country and that over everyone should root for the American. Listen, man, once again, it's so funny. I have certain people that come in my comment section and they say overall, oh, you're just angry because, black men or overall black people are supporting Deontay. Why are they supporting their own? Once again, I have no problem with that. But then those same people, they'll bitch, moan, and complain when the American Caucasians cheer for a Caucasian in Tyson Fury. I've seen many black American fans cheer for Francis Ngannou when he fought, who's an African fighter, I believe from Cameroon, when he was fighting Stipe Miocic not too long ago, I believe on March 27th this year. Was I bitching and complaining, saying, oh my God, this is just racism at its finest? Like, people cheer for their own, man. It is what it is. It's not a big deal when it comes down to it. But I just find it funny because, you always find in sports or really in anything, it's always the Caucasian man that cannot cheer for his own. I just find that interesting. But anyway.
Means Deontay Wilder losing. I had to see this fight. We needed to.
I wonder if Arasani Lara and Caleb Plant, for example. I wonder if Arasani Lara and Caleb Plant, or if Arasani Lara and David Benavidez, if they were both at their peak and they fought each other, or let's say if Demetrius Andrade, let's say he was from Cuba or something like that, and he fought Caleb Plant, or David Benavidez, you're telling me that Dante would completely root for Caleb Plant or David Benavidez just because they're American? Like, come on, man.
See this fight because we need closure on the situation. And I'm telling you guys right now, this fight is going to be huge. It is going to be so huge because of the controversy that...
Once again, that's like me bitching and complaining. Like, these guys bitch so much that you should root for your own country. Now, that's like me bitching and complaining overall that, if Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez, if they were to fight, that's like me bitching and complaining and saying, well, man, why are these Latinos, these Mexican Americans and Puerto Rican Americans and Latino Americans, because, there's a lot of Latinos and Hispanics, no matter where they be from, they cheer for Canelo Alvarez. I've met a certain amount of Latinos, no matter, where they be from or where their, background is from, whether they be Puerto Rican, Dominican, or Mexican, or, I've had a couple of friends from El Salvador that, cheer for Canelo Alvarez. So Canelo just has a big Latino following in general. That's like me saying overall, you know what, man? You were born in America. You should be cheering for Caleb Plant in this Canelo Alvarez fight. Are you racist? Like, like no one would ever say that, once again, when it comes down to it. Because it's just stupidity when it comes down. Of course, they're going to cheer for their own demographic. It is what it is. Even if they may not be from America. That's just the bottom line, man. Like, that's common sense. It is what it is. Anyway.
Surrounds it. It's the biggest fight of the year. And if Deontay Wilder were able to pull this off, it would be one of the biggest comebacks in the history of the sport.
I agree. If he were able to win this fight, it would be one of the biggest comebacks, and he would deserve a lot of credit for that. Do I believe it's personally going to happen? We'll see. I think the odds are stacked against him. Personally, I say that this is about a 70-30 fight. I would say that Tyson Fury is the clear favorite in this fight. But Deontay Wilder, with his power and athleticism, of course, he always has a chance. So we'll have to see what happens.
No doubt about it. So, yeah.
Did you know that 1 tablespoon of this ingredient can wipe out nail and skin fungus fast?
Yeah, man. I'm really looking forward to this one. Once again, new media was always on top of this when it comes to giving you guys the actual news that old media did not want to report on. This is the reason, and we kept telling you this is the reason why Tyson Fury could not get any other fight, why he sat on the shelf for so long. Because this damn arbitration case was really getting in his ass. And guys, going back...
was really getting in his ass when it comes... I tell you what, man, Deontay hates Tyson Fury so much. He hates that Caucasian man with a burning passion. And it's overtaken a certain amount of his life when it comes down to it. This means much more than just a regular fight to Deontay. And same with Champside, same with Blue Blood Sports TV, same with all those pro-black channels. And once again, a certain amount of people ain't gonna like that I say that. And it means a lot to the certain amount of the Caucasian fans and some of the Caucasian channels as well. Once again, man, I'm not a fan of any of these fighters. I'm just a logical and objective commentator. That's all I am, But it's just pathetic how much this fight means to Dante and all these other guys, because Deontay Wilder is their pro-black king. It's just embarrassing. But anyway.
To Tyson Fury being very nervous and having a lot of pressure on him. This is how nervous he is right now. According to reports, even though he has lost the arbitration and he's forced to fight Deontay Wilder, Tyson is still trying to offer Deontay Wilder step-aside money, which clearly tells you that he knows there's too much of a chance that he could miss out on that huge payday with that 2-fight deal against AJ if he...
Well, let me tell you this. And Tyson Fury overall has said that he believes that Deontay Wilder is the biggest challenge for him. And do I believe that he is... do I believe that he's being sincere with that? Yeah, I do believe he's being sincere with that. I do believe overall he actually believes that Deontay Wilder is the biggest threat. Because I think overall he takes a look at Deontay Wilder and he says, wow, this dude has really great one-shot knockout power when it comes down, and this dude can knock me out, at any time if he hits me correctly. I think he looks at Anthony Joshua as a little bit of a threat as well, but I think he says, this guy's style and overall, with him, I can outbox this dude. I can outbox this dude completely. I can pretty much coast to a decision. I think that's what Tyson Fury is pretty much saying. Not only that, but he could hurt Anthony Joshua maybe a little bit more than what he could Deontay Wilder, because Anthony Joshua, I'm not gonna go as far to say that he has a weak chin. I think that narrative has always been a little bit overrated. But when it comes down to the overall, he certainly, Anthony Joshua certainly does not take as he does not have as much punch resistance as a Deontay Wilder. And that's not saying that Deontay Wilder has an A-grade chin, because Deontay Wilder can be hurt, but it is what it is.
Has to fight Deontay Wilder next. A fight that was supposed to be very easy if you listen to the fans, but not if you listen to Tyson Fury. I've been telling you.
And I agree with that. Tyson Fury looks at Deontay Wilder, in my opinion, at least this is what he says, as the biggest challenge. And I believe that he's being sincere. Does that mean that he cheated? No. But Dante is not going to say that when it comes down to it. But I do believe that he thinks Deontay Wilder is the biggest challenge. So we'll see what happens.
You guys, since this whole arbitration and mediation process started, Deontay Wilder would be a fool if he allowed Tyson Fury to pay step-aside money and go on and fight AJ 2 times. He would really be a fool now that he's already won the arbitration, because he doesn't have to do anything that Tyson asked. It's up to him. There's no way Deontay Wilder is going to get a shot at Tyson Fury if he takes step-aside money.
We'll see when it comes down to it. Personally, I don't think that it is the smartest decision for Deontay Wilder to just go in there and face Tyson Fury for a 3rd time without taking any tune-up fights to practice your skills. But it is what it is. That's his decision. So we'll see if it works out.
And that was the reason why I said, yeah, if he's going to take step-aside money, it has to be some ridiculous money. That way, if he never gets to fight, it will really damage Tyson Fury's bank account, right?
Well, Deontay Wilder apparently is not going to take step-aside money, right, Dante? Because he wants it in blood, according to you, So we'll see what happens.
So I believe Deontay Wilder, he's going to do the right thing. He's going to push on, and we're going to get this fight this year. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
And that's really about it for me, too. So it is what it is. We'll end up seeing what happens in this fight. I just thought that I would get Dante's intake, because I know that he's been spreading this bullshit narrative that Tyson Fury has cheated and all this other stupid bullshit, and all these other idiots when it comes down to the overall that really have no idea what the hell they're talking about. But we'll just have to see what happens in the 3rd fight. Once again, though, if Tyson Fury ends up whooping Deontay Wilder's ass the same way that he did in the 2nd fight, in the 3rd fight, they're not going to give him any credit. So it really doesn't matter when it comes down to it. All that matters, hopefully, at least for boxing, is that, may the best man win in this fight, and then we get the unification fight. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, that's really about it. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you all later.